Welcome back, everyone, to yet another exciting session coming up this afternoon for all of us at the 16th Marketing Conclave organized by IAMAI and powered by. Without any delay, I would like to commence with our session. This session is a panel discussion on the topic innovation, differentiation, and storytelling. And for the same, I would like to welcome our moderator, Mr. Manish Vich, co-founder, Smile Group. Welcome, sir. And our esteemed panelists, Mr. Chaitanya Ramalingegowda, director and co-founder WakeFit, Mr. Aman Gupta, co-founder Boat Audio, and Ms. Anita Nayyar, head customer strategy and relationships Z5. Welcome to all of you. I would request Mr. Vich to please take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Garima. Hi, welcome all. Hope you're all enjoying the session at IMI. It was yesterday and today. I welcome all my panelists, Anita, Aman, and Chaitanya. My agenda for today and in the next 40 minutes, hopefully I'll be able to learn myself and hopefully I'll be able to kind of help extract probably from Aman and Chaitanya and Anita that what are some of the great things that they have done for their own brand to bring about and make such a large brand in last just few years. While we all, I mean, there are brands that have been struggling for hundreds of years to get to the numbers that they have probably reached, but they have done something great. So I think throughout this session, my idea will be to kind of pick notes from them and pick learnings from them, and hopefully we all can apply back to our businesses, learnings, etc. So welcome all.
Thank you.
Let me tell you, both Aman and Chaitanya have built 500 crore plus businesses in the last 3 to 4 years or 3 to 5 years of their working, which has been amazing in terms of what they have done to the brands that probably have been established for years. So let me start by you, Aman. I think we all, I have, whenever I have traveled, I've seen a lot of people wearing boat headphones. So congratulations. Tell me what's been the secret? I mean, and maybe a quick 1-minute story of how did you get this idea and how did you start it?
Thanks, Manish. Hi, everyone. Yeah, Manish, good to see that, people were traveling and, that itself brings in some nostalgia. Wow, people were traveling, suddenly I'm missing all that. But yes, there are those, I call those guys who wear boat, who are engaged with boat, who love boat, who buy boat. Those are boat heads. And that's the community of people who built us. Those are the guys who made us who we are, right? Coming back to your question, that the brand was not built is like today the brands can be built only by the right product and the right community. That's what I believe in. If your product is not good, people will talk about it in 100 other places. Gone are those days when you used to market the product and the brand and it used to get sold. Today you need to have the right product because everybody is talking to each other. There are so many connected ways people are talking to each other. They are on Quora, they are on Amazon, they're on Flipkart, they're on Google, they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram. They're all talking to each other. There's so many reviews which come out of the product. So you cannot sell a bad product anymore. So the product inherently has to be right. Added up with marketing, added up with right pricing, added up with the right infrastructure, and I think that's been our story. I would say God has been kind. We've done well, and there's too much to be done still.
Sure. Let me try and ask a supplementary question from Chaitanya. Chaitanya is, and of course this topic is more about innovation and storytelling, and I'll come to that. What did the, and again, hindsight is 2020, but if you were to say, what did the erstwhile old age brands didn't do, or didn't pick that opportunity? Is it the fact that they didn't understand digital retailing? And you guys, both you, Aman, kind of found out that as an opportunity and then rode on that wave. Is that the thing, or you really marketed your products very differently and spoke to the new age very differently? And that will probably bring me about to how you guys did it differently. But or was it a combination of all the reasons?
Well, I think completely resonate with what Aman said. Marketing can ultimately only push forward a good product. So great marketing, packaging a shitty product is still unfortunately shitty. So you need to get the product right. And for us, that itself was a big enabler. And for us, digital was not a medium to connect with them just for sales. It was everything, whether for messaging, whether for selling, whether for post sales, every single thing happened through digital. So we were digitally native and we were born here. And that really, really helped us in us thinking and understanding this customer base. And if I had to say one thing that probably the consultants missed out, it would probably be that the customers were seeking something else, and the innovation had stopped many decades ago. And when a lot of these external factors came into play, which is deep internet penetration suddenly from 2016 when Geo happened. Secondly, people talking to each other quite openly. If you notice, till about 10, 15 years ago, the only way brands were built was through lot of ATL spending, 50s and 50, 100 crores. That's how you build brands. 10, 15 years ago, it got restricted to Google and Facebook. And now, if you see, like Aman said, people are talking and sharing across hundreds of platforms. So digital cannot be just one way or one method or one platform. So that omnipresence of that is what need to be tapped. It's both a boon as well as a curse.
Thanks. Anita, you have, massive decades of experience in advertising. And when I speak with, old age brands, and I'm myself, we are ourselves investors in D2C, but I'm just right now on the other side of the table asking you a question that there was print, and then there was television, and then there was digital, and then there is a new age digital. I call it digital 1.0 and digital 2.0, as Chaitanya really mentioned. Digital 1.0 is more Google, Facebook, and digital 2.0 is more community building, etc. So the storytelling has moved. How brands who were very print focused used to tell their customers a different way of story. I saw brands adapting from print to television, but they weren't very adaptive to digital. And storytelling has been happening for a long time. Can you give me have you seen that shift happen because the medium shift happened, or the way the brands were telling the story or talking to a new age consumer was that different, or was it just the mediums different? Medium for retail and marketing both.
Manish, I think it's a combination of all the factors that you have mentioned. As you clearly mentioned, that storytelling is nothing new, right? Brands have been telling stories over a period of time, and I think the communication medium for those stories to be conveyed to the consumers or the audiences have changed. And when we are talking about innovation and differentiation throughout, I think it's only logical for brands to really adapt to the mediums through which the storytelling, it continues to happen. Because finally, what differentiates a product from a brand? It's all about stories, right? What brands tell, and the stories emerge from consumer insights. So the fact is that if a brand was used to a newspaper and then to television or a radio to outdoors, and now the digital platforms, then it is very, very important for any brand. And I'm not talking about new age brand or old brands. I think you need to evolve, right? So it is very important for each brand to actually take cognizance of the fact as to what is it that their consumers or their audiences are consuming, and that's what becomes their communication platform. So it's actually a combination of all these factors. I mean, if you pick up stories from Chaitanya or from Aman right here, they've built in a very short span of time such large brands. Their stories are different because they operate in different categories. Their consumers are different. The benefits that those brands bring to the consumers are different. But who thought a mattress brand, for example, with lots of foam and Sheila foam and Kurlon, etc., being there, that a mattress brand will actually recruit sleep interns, yeah, and pay them 1 lakh for it. I mean, I'd love to, Chaitanya, your all ears, I'd love to do that. But there was a need for a sleep solution there, right? So they told a story very differently. And they told a story because a lot of their consumers today, as Chaitanya was mentioning, are actually looking at innovations, ease, solutions, and of course, this whole thing about consumer delight. And similarly for Aman, where he's talking about, plug into Nirvana, or that, yesterday when we was discussing that nasha of music or nasha of listening, I mean, it's amazing, the way things have moved because, he's again a very big brand and I mean, I guess the number one brand in his category today. What have they done differently? They've told stories. They've told stories around their category. But what they've done differently is adapted to the medium for the stories to be conveyed and also the consumer insights, which have been very important. What does the consumer really need? So I guess, the storytelling will differentiate a product from a brand in the way they are innovating or adapting themselves or differentiating themselves.
Got it. And I think that's very relevant. Aman, do you think agility, this new age medium and new age, and we'd love to have examples from you. That can you give us examples that how sometimes your agility of a new age brand, you were very different than what an old age brand could do, and how did you evolve? How did you listen to your consumers, and you immediately created story out of it? So let's say you heard something and you did something, while it would have taken a lot of time for, I don't want to take brands, but it would have the name for the brands, but it would have taken a lot of time, approvals and going to bureaucracy and saying, oh, I'll take a campaign approval, going to agency, etc. But you would have heard this consumer insight and you said, oh, let's do this change. Can you talk about how agility has played that role?
Yeah, so that is where digital, I would say digital distribution also helped and digital marketing helped. Digital distribution, earlier they used to be, if you look at the old school way of distribution, the manufacturer brand to the wholesaler to the retailer and middlemen in between, and then to the consumer. And the feedback used to come back after 6 months, right? When the consumer used to tell the retailer to the distributor to the brand, that whole process was a 6-month process, right? All that is broken. Now you're selling directly to the consumer. When you're talking to the consumer directly, he's giving you instant feedback. If I'm launching a product today, I'm getting feedback of it tomorrow, and I can change it day after tomorrow. So digital distribution made that feedback process cleaner and faster. Why do I say cleaner? Because earlier the response was, was also, I would say, a little biased by the distributor. He will put in his words on what he wants to say, the retailer his words on what he is thinking is the right thing, and there's a Chinese checkers from the consumer to the brand. Now the brand is directly talking to the consumer, telling the consumer is telling him, boss, next product. So most of my innovation now because of that, talking to the consumer directly, my most innovations happen when I talk to the consumer directly. The consumer themselves tell me that this is the new product, this is the new feature I need. My teams start away from day one that the new product has to be delivered. So in the next 20 days, we'll get the right product which the consumer wanted, and he's given a feedback on the first product. So the distribution and the review mechanism is helping us develop the new products even faster and even better. So digital distribution, yes. And second, digital marketing, right? Earlier, there used to be one ad which used to be made for like hundreds of television channels for 200 different newspaper sets. Today, you are making, the patience level of the consumer of the millennial, of the Gen Z is zero. So you are making snackable content, right? Your content changes in another 10 days, 15 days. The campaign cannot be live for next 6 months. It's over. You cannot spend millions of dollars in making that one content which will play. If you repeat that consumer, the consumer is so impatient. So learning the consumer, as Anita rightly said, that insight mapping is something which we have done. We are doing it. Brands like all the D2C digitally native brands are doing it. And I hope, we continue doing that, because today, if we do that and we leave and we become, one of those Goliaths who think that the Davids cannot come and beat us, then there'll be another boat who will come and disrupt the boat. We were disruptors and we don't want to be disrupted, right? So we need to keep innovating. The consumer is changing from, when it moved from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok, you need to move. If you are still there on the Facebook ways of life, which, like if you are still there, then you're again dead. In 3 years, maybe in next 6 months, now TikTok is over, maybe, the next platform will come out in the next 2 weeks, and that might become the next platform. And if you're not there, you're again dead. So the consumer is changing, the market is changing, keep changing. That's what we have to keep doing.
Right. So I fully understand. And like Chaitanya, it's easy said than done. I want to understand. And your brand has been behind some amazing, let me say, viral campaigns or campaigns that people liked to forward or people like to consume. What is the process? And with examples, if you can take some examples, that how did you design your company in such a way that these ideas are coming in? Aman rightly said to move with the consumer, pick up his mind. But let's say a lot of brands, a lot of companies kind of get stuck in saying, oh, you know what, how does this process of creative thinking happen? And I think a lot of audience who's listening to you would like to understand, okay, ye samajh to aa gaya hai. How do we execute it? Would love to understand that part.
I think the simple answer is to hire really smart teammates and smart agencies. I think we've been fortunate to attract that good kind of talent. But when we think about these initiatives, we look at it in two ways. One is what we are doing proactively, and second is what comes outside from the internet and what is popular in the current zeitgeist. So when we look at what we are planning proactively, we never chase virality because that is a self-defeating purpose. Like Aman said, you put in a lot of things thinking it might go viral, lot of time, effort, money, and that doesn't catch up. Something else that you accidentally did that catches up. So you can never chase virality as an outcome. You just stay true to what your brand stands for and what your community will want, and hope that that gets picked up. So when we think about it, we look at how the brand personalities and what we can do within it. For example, we don't take ourselves very seriously. We say that okay, sleep has been a very boring thing that people haven't spoken about. It's not sexy to depict sleep through a Hrithik Roshan exercising or some nice-looking woman running on a beach. It's you can't depict it, so it has to be funny, quirky. Similarly, on the home solutions, people have always talked about beauty and comfort. They've never talked about the ergonomics and the science of home comfort. So we said we have to give a lot of these nuggets of information, but it has to be in a fun, quirky way. So while the science might be interesting and serious, people will never appreciate it if you make it like a lecture. So that is
So likewise, sorry, I'm interrupting, but likewise, can you give me, can you give us some examples of, let's say, pick up like, do you have someone in your team who has a KRA or a KPI to come up with creative ideas every month? And how does that happen? I mean, like you said, you are not chasing virality, but someone is. So how does that happen?
No, I think it's not just one person, honestly. We have a content team, there's a digital team, there is a creative partner, Spring Marketing Capital.
Yeah.
Then all of these are ears and eyes for us. And these ears and eyes are also less, in my opinion. I wish there were more people listening to what's happening in the ecosystem, reacting faster. But there's never, as a founder, you're never happy with the speed at which you're working. But there is no one person. Yesterday, a simple thing that we did on Virat Kohli and Anushka's thing, when they announced it, we said, gear up for sleep. Lot of sleepless nights. You have few more months to catch up on sleep. So that really went viral, and a bunch of other social media following newspapers and digital platforms immediately picked it up and gave us the boost. So we didn't know that it was going to go viral. That really aligned with sleep, so we picked it up.
And so am I picking up something? And maybe Anita and Aman, you can comment. What I picked up from Chaitanya's thing is that a lot of times I see brands have something called digital marketing, and and they just say, okay, they're doing all the work. I think what he talked about, that having a content team separately to a digital marketing team. Uh, I think that probably creates, the content team is probably responsible to creating only innovation or only creative storytelling ideas, whereas the digital marketing team is doing more like paid things like that. Chaitanya, is that how you're trying to describe the team structure?
Yes, day-to-day job is that content team works,
Okay.
content creation and digital marketing team creates on traffic, but the
Okay.
ideas have come from everywhere equally.
From everywhere. Okay.
Because they're all diverse people, right? They follow different platforms, they follow different pages, they follow different ideas, they follow different lifestyle. So they bring in ideas that are very, very, very diverse, and that's
Got
the
it.
answer.
Okay. I'll still try and dig a little bit more into your secret sauce. in the next question. Aman, coming back to you, uh, you've made such a successful brand, and you're continuing to be in touch with your secret sauce. You're saying you're listening to the community, you're doing innovation, etc. But there were a lot of people, and I maybe if you can quote sometimes that they would have thought that boat is growing. Let a lot of brands got started, but what would you say was the secret sauce that boat is probably 100x bigger than all this competition that started? I don't think it was capital, because you were let me tell the audience that boat is one of the companies that I know who has picked up probably the lowest amount of capital to build the company of this size. Uh, what was the secret sauce to get to not to grow as fast as possible, and while a lot of brands were there?
Yeah, so Manish, I really like listening to Anita and Chaitanya also. They're talking very good points. And in fact, I should note them. I should be in the speaker. I should have been in the listening side also noting these points. I'll take a separate session with all three of you. But I'll tell you, there's been no secret sauce. It's been hard work. It's been the passion. It's been the dedication of the team. We've got a very young team. When we started off, as you said, we haven't raised money. Yeah, we did not raise a lot of money. We've just raised some money in the last 2 years to do different things. But money is a byproduct. As पहले पहले जमाने में बोलते थे ना, दो चीजें बोलते थे कि money is a byproduct और ग्राहक भगवान होता है. Now these two things are, as Anita said, that it's going back to basics, right? And grahak today, consumer is the king. He can decide who he wants to buy. There are no legacy brands who can dictate us anymore, right? I don't think that that we are an 80-year-old sound brand, or we are a 70-year-old sound brand and we made for the NASA and all that helps sell anymore. The consumers are not fools. You can't charge super premium, super abnormal profits from them. The consumers are not they're not idiots to not try out new brands. They will. If you have a story, as Chaitanya said, if you are able to resonate to them, if you are able to connect to them on an emotional level, the brand building is still the same as old times. You connect to the consumer. The mediums and the channels have changed. I would say that. There's no secret sauce, Manish. I think God has been kind, as I always say. We keep doing the right things, keep bringing the right products, keep listening to the consumers, and they will love you back. You love them. They'll, there is. If you try to cheat the consumers, you can cheat them once. But if you've got to get them to repeat by you from you for something you keep bringing, and in our technology, the technology keeps changing, and you need to keep reinnovating, reinventing, and reproducing new products. And if you try to cheat them once for any reason, they will never buy you back, and they will tell it to 100,000 other friends of theirs to never trust both. So, there are a lot of brands who keep coming. When we started off, there were 200 brands. 100 of them have died. And there are every day new brands who try to be the next boat. And, we all have to be keeping our eyes and ears open to competition. We cannot say that, as I said, that we disrupted and we can also be disrupted, right? So we have to be true to ourselves. We have to keep our eyes and ears on the ground, stay passionate, but stay paranoid. That's what we are.
Yeah, so I'm actually hearing a lot of community thing and listening to customers from both of you. Chaitanya, can you talk about your most successful campaign and how did that bring about, and how did the brand how did the brand dynamics change post that and pre that? I mean, if you can talk about that.
I think for us, we've been fortunate to have a couple of campaigns that really went viral. One was what we did and what Anita kindly mentioned about sleep internship. So this was the result of a brainstorming session with our creative agency, and people had thought about these kinds of things as an April Fool meme, saying that Ola launched a boat, or somebody used a toilet to launch something, or Budweiser did something. He said, what if we didn't make it a meme? What if it wasn't a joke? What if it was serious? And if we can bring that kind of conversation around sleep through a very valid campaign, why not do it? And we said, okay, let's try that out. And very, very small budget. We shot a few films. Thought of very creative themes around the films. For example, one of the bosses tells the interns there, saying that I was thinking about sending you to Sri Lanka for the Kumbhkaran internship, but the last 7 days your sleeping numbers are not so good. So very quirky, very small budget, cost us very little. And then we said, let's not put money behind the campaign at all. If it is good enough as a concept, it should work through word of mouth. So we only got it out to a few journalists and then left it there. And within 7 days, the snowballing effect kicked in. And that is when we knew that it had gone viral. We got coverage from about 30 countries. We got about 1.7 lakh applications, more than about 30, 40 million views across all the platforms. And no amount of money would have gotten us there. And like Aman said, I think the biggest thing that we have is the transparency. As a direct to consumer brand, whether people like you or hate you, it's out there in the public. So suddenly there was a lot of goodwill from 3 years of selling our products. And when people heard this, I think it sort of snowballed into that.
Fantastic. Anita, we are talking about all good things, but I've actually seen this backfiring also. The whole freedom given to young guys within the team, having quirky ideas, etc. And it does backfire as well, which can hurt the brand massively. And we have seen, as consumers make the brand, they also demolish the brand. What should be taken care? What should be one, if you can give examples about that, or if you can tell us that in your experience, if that happens, because that will certainly happen. Out of all the 10 ideas won't be great ideas, and there could be a possibility of backfires. If it backfires, how does brand treat that backfiring? And would love to know all more, because the risk-taking ability of anyone can only come when he knows that what is the plan B if it doesn't go well. I would love to hear all three of you, but Anita, we can start with you.
Sure, Manish. See, there are two very, very important things. Ideation is all good, and as they said, that good idea can come from anywhere. But I think what needs to be taken care is relevance and resonance. These are two very important aspects of any idea. The idea, however quirky, however naive, whatever it is, it has to be relevant to the brand category that you're operating in. And the second thing is it has to resonate with the audiences. So that aspect is something that the brands have to really, really take care of and not get carried away by a very quirky idea. Like you said, that it backfires. And it's good to know that we are back to basics and nothing has changed, where you're saying consumer is the king and content gets followed. I mean, this is something I've been hearing for the decades that I've been in the industry, and nothing has changed, because what are brands finally doing? They're chasing consumers. And the final thing is a sale, or the final thing is a conversion. So I think to stay relevant and resonate with your consumers' needs and whatever benefit the brand is really, really, bringing to the table for the consumer, be authentic and not move away from the core, which is very, very important, because authenticity and maintaining the core of the brand with whatever layers of ideation you can put across, will sail you through. I'll just, we've been talking about new brands. Boat is a great new brand, and Wakefit is also a great new brand. But let me give you a small example of a large brand, Cadbury's, right? A brand very close to my heart. When I was a kid, I remember that purple and those two glasses of milk getting onto the chocolate bar. I haven't forgotten that. Yeah. How do you think they have reinvented themselves over a period of time? And also a time in question when there was a problem with the product. When we did found some stuff, and how the consumers just completely backlashed. Yeah. So how have they stayed relevant over decades with different kind of audiences, different age groups of audiences? So when I was a kid, I consumed it. When I was a teenager, I consumed it. And I'm specifically talking about dairy milk. I'm not talking about the other brands of Cadbury. When I was middle-aged and now I'm 50 plus and I'm still consuming it. Yeah. But look at the relevance. So they moved from happiness. I think everybody remembers that ad in the 90s, which happened during a cricket match where this girl dances and, gets on into the field. Nobody would have forgotten, I think. People of my age, and I'm much older than all three of you there, but nobody's forgotten that. It was to depict happiness. Yeah. over a period of time, what was the consumer insight? They said that, you know, in Indian connections, anything meetha, you know, that you have is when you're beginning something new, shubharam. So kuch meetha ho jaye came from there. And how have they used shubharam to launch, to stay relevant with the audiences? And also celebrations, you know, the new Cadbury celebration pack where they actually connected it with various occasions, you know, whether it was a Raksha Bandhan or a Diwali, or even to celebrate friendship. Cut to a Cadbury Dairy Milk Silk, where it is all about, you know, that yum feeling of that silk melting into your mouth. And then, of course, now that kuch meetha ho jaye, you know, everybody who would have thought that, you know, sweets, Indian traditional sweets would get, you know, replaced by a chocolate which says ki kuch meetha ho jaye. And so many ideas around that one very powerful insight. You know, so I'm sorry, I'm going back to the same basics of insight, but you know, that is what, and then of course they used Amitabh Bachchan because he had a lot of credibility, trust, faith, and coming from him to say we are, you know, fine and everything is okay with us and we've taken the necessary measures when the dip happened. I mean, look at where the brand is. It's still there. You know, it's not a new brand. It's not like a age-old, a brand which got launched yesterday. So I'm saying it's completely to do with relevance, resonance, authenticity, staying core, and not forgetting what your consumer wants. Yeah. So I think these are a few
Yeah,
things.
I think Anita very rightly said, because I think it is not just a phenomenon with the new age brands, but it is some new age brands have continued to evolve themselves and be uh, uh, and understood the beat of the new consumer, or as I say, the boat of the new consumer, and continue to evolve their products, their communication, their distribution in such a way that the new age consumer is talking. And thankfully, maybe Aman, it would have been. Would you admit that it would have been very tough to do all this storytelling, listening to the consumer, but build a brand in an offline world? Let's say if digital retailing wasn't present, would this still be possible?
Good question, but I don't know. You know, it's like a very hypothetical question. But as
Right.
the maybe the retailing wasn't there, but there would have been some other channel then. You know, maybe there are EBOs, or maybe there is some other way brands will start talking. There used to be like something like a conjoint study brands used to do before launching a product. Maybe that became a little more digital. Now, you know, thinking about something that may not have been there, my mind is
Right.
not working. Maybe Chaitanya,
But
you can
you would say that retailing, the new age retailing, probably. I mean, that was also an important impetus to kind of grow
yeah. You know, it's like I'm thinking that if there is no in the demonetization mein Netflix nahi hota, hum kya karte? You know what I mean? So it's so difficult to imagine a life now. It's the new normal, right? So imagine a life without the Uber and the Olas. You know, we cannot imagine a life without mobile. So I think
right.
imagining something that, you know, अगर distribution new age distribution नहीं होता तो हम क्या करते? तब कुछ और सोचते
Is it tough?
हैं. You know, we could have thought of something.
Understood. Got it. So, Chaitanya, there's a question by the audience, and they're saying that with the growth of the short format mobile videos and mobile content, and vertical videos to be more specific, has that evolved in your creative strategy? And if yes, how?
We don't look at short or long. Just like Aman said, the attention span is extremely small. A recent study showed that the attention span of a normal Gen Z person is about 9 seconds. So if you don't catch that, and to give you some context, goldfish has 10 seconds attention span. We are worse. So if that doesn't catch attention, whether it is horizontal, vertical, good actor, bad actor, nothing matters. So it has to be the right space. It has to be the right edit. But all of these are hygiene factors. We do something for TikTok, something for Facebook, something for Instagram. The formats are edited and put up. We don't even think about it. We don't even spend any attention on it. What we think is this going to catch attention for those few seconds so that they don't browse to something that's more exciting?
Okay, I think that's that. So you start by saying, can I can I grab his attention for the first 9 seconds? And then it could be any medium, doesn't matter, vertical, horizontal, nothing. Okay, great. I think that's very right. Another question is that, and maybe Aman, you can answer. What are the most important areas for any company to focus upon for making themselves innovation centric? I partly think you've answered this question by saying it's more about listening to your consumer, as you've always evolved the products. Listening to the consumer. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, so there is, we all love Apple in that manner, right? As a company, as a brand, they have thought beyond sometimes what consumers even wanted, right? They brought in products which become mainstream going forward, right? So even as you rightly said, people or maybe Spotify or Netflix or Z and all these guys. So how they think that maybe somebody from a small problem. So I'll tell you a small example, as you wanted, Manish. Our biggest problem was in India or in the world, the cables which used to come with the phones were so they used to break in like for 2-3 months they used to break, right? So our first product we launched was a unbreakable cable. What we did was we just made the mesh stronger, the cable stronger. That the problem, which was actually originated from my co-founder wife's problem. It was like she used to break cable every month. So वो कहता था कि every month he has to buy a cable. So that's it was a very simple problem. And the solution was कि मतलब it was a common problem. Cable टूटती थी. So we started making unbreakable cables, and then that became like the biggest hit. And then we expanded into different areas. I'm just saying that the innovation can happen from anywhere, right? If I am today sleeping on a mattress I don't like, maybe I am the one who then maybe Chaitanya is the one who's thinking about that's the next innovation, guys. We need it, and that that one problem can also be a common problem which we didn't know about. So the innovation can happen even at our backyards.
Yeah, like you said, you've taken a great example. There are some things that you can actually innovate by listening to the consumer, and something you have to take probably your own or your teams or your R&D's gut feel that this is what the consumer, we want to give it to the consumer, and we believe that he will probably use it. So it's pain point versus something. So I think that's right. Anita, another question. They're saying old age, new age, forget that. And I think that's today, because of the fickle-minded consumer and the fact that there is young influencers, there is mid-age influencers, there's old influencers, right? People are young till they're 60, and they're influencing and things like that, etc. How has anything changed in consumer storytelling? Apart from the fact that he's fickle-minded, you have to create content like that. Even a old age brand, what should they be doing to stay relevant and continue to in this new age with storytelling?
So, it's actually a summation of what Aman and Chaitanya and you've been saying, that listen to your consumer. So for any brand to really be relevant in today's situation or today's marketplace, listen to your consumers, guys. Because if you're not listening to him, he's not interested. So gone are the days when the brands used to scream and we used to listen. It's no longer that. Look at, like as Chaitanya was saying, look at the attention spans. So you either have that guy's attention or you don't have it. If you don't have his attention, you're gone. If you have his attention, then he'll be really loyal to you. I mean, last night there was this session with Amish Tripathi, and he was talking about some very interesting stuff in how his mythology books have become relevant to today's audience. Because authenticity and core was what was important. And, he did the storytelling so beautifully that even the Gen Z today, those guys who listened to him actually binged, through the weekend or something and read his books. And similarly, for any content that, if you're either the Gen Z or the millennials that we're talking about, because they form, more than 50% of the audiences today, and you are wanting to take their mind space. So if you've taken their mind space, they will binge on you, and then they become your loyal guys, because it's no longer a put on world. I'm like this. Take it or leave it, is what today's generation is all talking about. So I think that a little ear to the ground to listen to what he wants, whether it is about weak cables, or whether it is about, not being able to sleep too much because you're stressed over whatever. I think that ear to the ground is something which is extremely important. What I'm telling you is no rocket science, Manish. I mean,
Got it.
it's
No,
absolute.
I think. So just to summarize, what I'm taking back, I think one of the most important thing I think है कि time आ गया है ग्राहक को वापस भगवान बनाने का, उसकी सुनने का, like Aman said, and it's not just about hearing him, but it's all about talking to him, hearing him, talking him and her. I'm not being gender biased, but hearing, talking, interacting, and then also taking action. Now, action could be by way of innovation, or by doing creative campaigns about it, or by talking to him in a personalized fashion, or the only other thing I would like to tell the audience is that I think because the newer audience, the consumer is young now. I'm not saying agility in the brand is very important. Like there is agile programming, products need to be agile themselves. And whether it is in terms of talking, marketing, maybe I have seen a great example that I actually put is Ixigo and the creative that they do. They probably bring about like 2 or 3 or 4 creatives shot within their office, maybe in a small studio every month, and talking to consumer, 1 or 2 or 3, which one will work, who knows. But I think it's time that we start hearing, start actioning, and being agile. Hey guys, with that note, thank you very much. It's been great having you all, and I hope there is a lot of learning. At least I have taken a lot of learning from all of you, and people go back and use their brands and build multiple large brands in the country, or make their old brands younger, more relevant to the young audience.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Manish.
Thank you. Thank you, Manish, sir. Thank you to all the panelists for this amazing session. Thank you to the audience for being so responsive. Please do also take out some time to visit our exhibitor space on the platform and check out their offerings. We will soon be back with another remarkable session. Thank you.
Thanks, Garima.